All right, I'm gonna be real with you guys. And this is like, again, this channel I try to be as transparent as possible because you know I've been in positions to where I've came to the internet and tried to just act like nothing was wrong, and that I was, never scarred or hurt from anything. And you know this is all about burnout, and I'll tell you this: burnout is real. I've been burnt out so much when it comes to content and not getting the results that I feel. See, you're looking at somebody right now that has put out videos on a consistent basis on my regular channel, Hustler Taught Me and Hustler. So Hustler Taught Me and Educated Hustler, both channels. I put out videos, and I've been, I wouldn't say disappointed because I'm so happy for everybody that does watch my videos, but I will say let down because I'm not where I want to be, right? And while that is frustrating, it also is frustrating when you are a solution based individual. So you start looking for solutions no matter what. Instead of complaining, you rather look for solutions, and you silently, consistently work harder and harder. And then you start to realize that working hard doesn't matter, execution does. So you start thinking about goal setting, but understanding that your goal setting needs to have to incorporate habits in as well. So you do everything that you feel is right. You keep just fixing, revising, and trying to find the right approach only to see no results. And it becomes very frustrating, and it becomes very sad because you start realizing that maybe it's just not for you. And that's sort of kind of how I used to think of burnout, is maybe it's not for me. And while I try to keep going and keep moving and keep improving, maybe I'm just not it. Maybe it just won't happen for me. Now, I think the biggest difference between me and others is me being able to understand my wrong, take accountability for it, and then immediately go back to the drawing board and figure out how to avoid doing that same low vibrational habit, right? While others, they may go back to the drawing board. Listen to what I'm about to say. They might go back to that drawing board, and that drawing board could be you going back to work to make some more bread back. That drawing board could be you taking a few days to recuperate and not handling work. That drawing board could be you just taking a small vacation. See, some people go back to the drawing board but never come back to their work. They never come back to their business. Some people go back to the drawing board and never come back to their business because they didn't really want it. And I know I'll be the first to tell you guys, I have days where all I do is procrastinate and not get the work I should get done. I have days where I give myself excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse so that I don't do what my checklist says. I have days where I'm doing my checklist and everything is great, but the last few things I end up just saying I'm not doing it. I have days where I say and have another idea and I don't actually put it into place. I have those days. And those days I always look back on when I'm not happy because of a result that I didn't get, and then I just sit there and say, that's why. Because you didn't hold yourself accountable. You didn't push yourself far. You didn't push yourself harder. See, I was listening to a YouTube video, and this guy said this. He said, hard work doesn't start until you don't want to do it anymore. And like, that is so true. And it's hard because you start thinking to yourself, well, I do want this as bad as I want to breathe, but dang, I need a break. So I went through the phase of, oh man, I'm getting burnt out. Maybe I need to actually spread out a few breaks throughout the day. I went through that phase and I started spreading out some breaks throughout the day. And then and then I ran into a guy. He's my lawyer. And I ran into this lawyer. And I went to his office, big office in Philly, right? The office is so beautiful. It's glass all around, and you can see the view. It's just so beautiful. I asked him a question. I said, hey, how many hours a week do you work? Only reason why I asked him that was because I was so fascinated by how old he was, but still working, and also how beautiful his office was, which, in my opinion, represented how beautiful his life may be because of the way he has worked and the stuff and positions he put himself in. So I asked him, and he said to me, I work sometimes 80 hours. Like, listen, I wake up at 7 a.m. I wake up at 6 a.m. I go to court at 7 a.m. I don't get home or go back to the office until 1 p.m. I don't leave from the office until around 10 p.m. He was like, I work all day. He said, I haven't taken a vacation since 1990 something. I was like, what? He said, yeah. He said, there's no reason for me to. And now I'm not trying to be like this person or live that life, but what it made me realize is that idea of, okay, I won't be burnt out if I have a few breaks throughout the day. It was wiped away after that. Because I started to realize if this, and no disrespect to him, but if this old man can work this much, I can outwork him. See, I'm the type of person, I step on a basketball court, there's nobody there to tell me that I'm not the best one on that court. See, I have a mentality of understanding that I am capable of whatever I put my mind to. And when it comes to burnout, I tend to remind myself that you're not burnt out. You're just pushing yourself past the limits just as much as you would push yourself when you're lifting weights. See, when you're lifting weights and you're lifting the weights, at some point the weights become tiring. It becomes hard. It harder and harder and harder. But then, like, when it starts to get hard, that's when you got to keep going because you're breaking down that muscle. But it's the same thing when you're an entrepreneur. Sometimes when you're getting burnt out, sometimes you got to keep going. Keep going. Now, I'm not saying don't take no breaks, but what I am saying is when you take breaks, understand somebody out there is still working harder than you. So how do I handle burnout? I handle burnout by realizing that burnout isn't a negative. Burnout sometimes means that, Brandon, you're getting burnt out, which means that what you're putting your attention towards is clearly overwhelming you, which could clearly deter you from putting out your best work. So let's move on to something else, but let's not stop working. Let's not just give ourselves an excuse to sit back and relax. Let's try and orchestrate a plan to where instead of working on A, you can work on B until B becomes done, and then you can get back to A. So I like to pivot from different things. So I work on wesply.com, which is my wholesale website. And if I get burnt out on that, I'll go to my other website, hustlertaughtme.com. Or I'll work on a few videos for this channel, and then I'll get burnt out and I'll work for videos for my other channel, Educated Hustler. See, it's all about ping-ponging back and forth, but most importantly, it's all about finding out what works for you. And I urge everybody that may be going through some type of burnout to hang in there. Understand that it's not about working less. It's about understanding how to execute more without having to feel drained. Because, see, I don't feel drained when I'm doing things that I want. I don't feel drained when I'm playing a game. I don't feel drained when I am outside partying with my friends. I don't feel drained when I'm doing things that I like. So it's like I need to make sure that I'm not overdoing anything, but I'm actually working on all aspects to become as efficient as possible, but also remain as healthy as possible in being able to evenly distribute my time, my work, to achieve the best goals possible. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video.